Joining us this morning, the man who's leading today's hearing, Congressman Paul Kanjorski, the chairman of the House Financial Services Subcommittee on Capital Markets and Insurance, and a favorite here on Squawk. Congressman, good to have you back.
Glad to be back, but please have Rick not talk about spaghetti so early in the morning. It makes me hungry.
It makes you hungry. You know, states might argue they've already got some of this under control. Clearly, you think the federal government might have something to say about that?
Well, I think the states have done a good job, but with the global market and our experience with AIG now and the use of AIG in an entire new concept because of the reduction of regulation between banking, securities, and insurance, I can see that in the future with insurance companies we're going to have a federal involvement. It's a question of how deep, how much, and what we should do, and that's what we're going to have a hearing on today, as we've had several in the past.
What might that world look like, at least in your view? Well,
I think we can't really get to systemic risk regulation until we have the insurance part of the banking industry, the securities industry, and the insurance industry all on an equal par, and they're not on that par now because the federal government really has no insight, no information, and no regulatory authority of any significance over insurance. So we have to bring some ratio there that they're equal in order to get the resolution authority that the Secretary wants and in order to get to systemic risk.
We got the insurance question being tackled. Credit rating agencies are also under the watchful eye of the government. The President appears ready to tackle compensation across the financial services industry. Credit cards, of course, where everybody's talking about how to regulate fees in that business. Is the world going to start to be run from either the Capitol or the Oval Office?
Well, I hope not, and there are many of us down here that wouldn't want that scene. I think my advice to the President would be stay cool. You know, we are in an exacerbated situation. We will pull out of this situation and then let the market regulate many of those things, particularly inside compensation. That's something the market can handle. The government will not be able to do a very good job at it. It makes us look good politically. It's something that's popular with the electorate, but it's not. In a capitalist society such as ours, I do not think it's really demanded at this time.
Mr. Chairman, you're talking life insurance, I think. Are you talking property casualty, autos,
You mean for regulation purposes, Joe?
Yeah, for regulation purposes.
Yeah, no, actually, we're looking at the entire insurance industry.
That's a big. What about health insurance?
Well,
that too.
That's going to be part of it. But I'm not saying we're going to regulate that. I think we have to take them all into consideration to see what role they play, particularly in the future in systemic risk or for resolution authority, and what we have to. We don't want to regulate any more or any larger portion of the insurance industry that we conclude is absolutely essential.
Well, you look at people, moving out of Florida because of hurricane. I mean, there's so many different issues. It seems like an awful lot to bite off at once. I can understand the systemic part of the life insurance business, but the other one seems like, and then you got health insurance, a entirely different issue.
Right. Well, I don't think we want to jump into regulating that type of insurance, hurricane, et cetera, right now, but we have to take it into consideration to make sure we don't do unintended consequences to inhibit the development of that market in the future by what we do at the federal level now.
But what Secretary Geithner is proposing to monitor the credit default swaps, make sure that they're traded potentially over an exchange, would that take care of a lot of this?
That won't take care of most of it, but it'll certainly take care of a very large segment of the market. I listened to your comments you made earlier. I absolutely agree with the conclusion. I'm delighted that we're thinking of doing an exchange, that we're going to have transparency. That's going to go 1,000 yards to cure that problem and cure that market. But the insurance market is really off our radar screen because for all this time, 222 years, we have not had much federal involvement in insurance.
Yeah. Congressman, can I get your take on a few other topics surrounding the Hill?
Absolutely.
There's some thinking that maybe cap and trade is back as this bill gets out of energy and commerce. Is it?
Well, they're sure working on it. I have never seen deals being made. I don't mean that in the worst sense, but I mean in the real sense. People are trying to put something together. That's possible, but again, we're biting off so much here. It's going to be amazing to see how successful we possibly can be. But hopefully, if everybody steps back, stays cool, we'll move on these very important issues. And if I have to say one thing to all of you, and I think listening to your program over the years, we've got to solve these huge problems in our society. They're not going to go away. And they're not going to be solved to everybody's benefit. But I think if everybody gives and takes a little bit, we can get them done.
Finally, the Times reports that Democrats have been meeting to respond to these Republican attacks about health care. Evan Bayh is saying we're uneasy that we don't have a strategy to counter some of these claims that it's socialized medicine. How's that going to fall out?
Oh, what is that? Sticks and stones will break my bones, but no. I think that's. I hope the Republicans come up with something more than just hauling invectives toward a party or toward individuals. You can't talk to anyone in America today, whether it's an employee or an employer, that doesn't tell you that health insurance is extremely significant to their success, to their lives, and to the lives of the country. And the president is clearly laying it out. If we're going to ever get to the deficit, we've got to take care of health insurance. So calling it socialized medicine is really stupid. I mean, some people, then you'd have to drive them that Medicare is socialized medicine and try and take Medicare away from the American people. I dare you, Joe.
10 a.m. We'll be listening to the hearing, Congressman. Good to have you stop by.
Very nice visiting with you.
Congressman Paul Kanjorski.